Hey everyone, Cargo Bike Live. Hope y'all are having a good day. We just finished cleaning up some parts for the Spirit FS5. They're right here. Let me get this situated a little better here. All right. Can you see that? There we go. Got the brakes. I think those are the original pads, and I think I'm gonna have to replace those because after cleanup, they don't feel very good. They're very hard. They don't feel right at all to me, so I'll replace them. Look at this old Falcon derailleur. I wonder if back in the day when that bike was built, that was like the top of the line for derailleurs. Old Falcon. Cleaned up pretty nice. The spring right there has got a little rust on it, but I'll work on getting some oil or grease in there. There's an inner spring. It's smaller. It's got a little grease. You'll never be able to see that. But basically, it cleaned up pretty good for being from 1974 or around that era. You got the bottom bracket here. Things cleaned up decent. It's not real shiny, but it will be when I hit it with the triple-aught steel wool. Got all the bearings. These are the bearings for the bottom bracket. These are the bearings and all the pieces for the fork. Got the brakes. Look at how nice the brakes are still. Even that little tiny flimsy washer right there with the writing on it that I could not read without my glasses, it's still got some red on it. This one, the red's all gone. You can't see it anymore. But man, they washed up good. They were real dirty, but they washed up nice. All the parts are still pretty shiny, except that acorn nut. That acorn nut is real rusty. Can you see that? It's real rusty. So I'll try to get that rust off there when I get it to the shop. And I'll hit them up with some triple-aught steel wool. You'll see they'll be a lot shinier. These are just washed in Dawn in hot water with my little scrub brush. But they'll clean up nice. And then there's the chain. Man, I soaked that thing for like 3 days, but it's still got some rust on it. So I'm going to have to work on that at the shop. It's drying right now. I'm going to get some triple-aught steel wool on it. If that don't work, I might take a little light sandpaper and hit it up. It still functions very well. Once I get it back on the bike, we'll take the chain checker, give it a check. If it's slap wore out, we'll go get a new chain. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about today. When you're restoring old bikes, a lot of people just throw all the original parts out and they'll go and get, all new bearings and chains, which is not a horrible idea, but the problem with that is, hold on a second. The problem with that is, right now there's a shortage on bikes, on parts. So I try to salvage everything I can because I also believe in recycling. But why would you take all these, what could be perfectly usable parts, and like even bearings and simple things like chains, when there's a shortage of parts for bicycles, as cyclists, we have to think about the next person. Let's say there's a shortage on chains nationwide, and that chain's still serviceable with a little work, a little cleanup, a little lubing. But I decide, well, I don't want to go through all that. I'm just going to toss it and I'm going to get a new chain. And let's say wherever you're at, like where I'm at, there's only 2 bike shops in the area where I live. There's more over in Louisville, Kentucky. But let's say all I have is the 2 bike shops. Let's say there was no other ones close to me. And let's say I go and buy a chain to replace that one, and now there is no more chains. And then a little kid comes in and he needs the exact size and length of chain that you just bought for his bike to be able to ride for summer, but you bought the last one and his is just broken or mangled or just totally unrepairable. Now that little kid don't have a bike to ride because we were selfish. We thought our project was more important. Instead of doing a little bit of hard work, getting some rust off there, soaking it up, getting lube in there, getting it all working good again. I mean, if that's the original chain, it's probably from the 70s. But if it's not wore out, why throw it out? Especially when there's a shortage in the world. We all have to do better, especially in the States, because we are very, very wasteful with everything. So we need to, especially all with cyclists, we need to be on the same page and, salvage any parts we can. We need to clean and reuse any parts we can and try to let the supply build back up. If we don't let it build back up, a year down the road, we could be without parts totally. How are we going to ride our bikes if we use everything up now? It's like people who hoarded toilet paper when the whole COVID thing started. They went out and bought all the toilet paper and all the paper towels. Why are we being so selfish? Is it all about me? No. We have a society. We all have to work together. Bike parts are no different, and right now they are in short supply everywhere. I went to get some pads the other day for my disc brakes for my big dummy, and they only had one set. I couldn't even get two sets. Now I have the option. I can switch back to V-brakes. It has the braze-ons for V-brakes, and worst case scenario, if I can't get some pads, that's what I'll have to do, but I'd really rather just find some pads. And I can go online and order some, but remember, just because there's parts online doesn't mean there always will be. Things are in short supply. Manufacturing is at probably about 60 to 70% of what it used to be. So everybody, anything you can salvage and reuse, you see someone throw an old bike out by the curb and they're just going to throw it out. If you can, take it home, take it apart, clean all the bearings, put them in a little plastic dish somewhere, hold on to them, because you never know when you might need that. It might be the exact bearing you need, or a friend needs, or your neighborhood kid needs. We've all got to do better, especially in America, man. We have got to stop being so wasteful. But that's all I have today. That's my little update. That's where we're at. I did get some nail polish for the fork. Unfortunately, I forgot to put the fork in the car, so I don't have it with me today. The next time I go shopping, we get it, and then I'll test the paint and the nail polish on it, let it dry, and we'll see which color matches best, and then we'll get the frame's already back at the shop. It's ready to be touched up with the paint. The paint will have to dry, and then we'll buff it out. And then we'll start putting this thing back together. I still got parts over there that I have to clean, like the crank arms and stuff, but those, they weren't really too much dirt on them. It was mostly just rust that has to be taken off with the triple-aught steel wool. So that's all I got for today. Y'all be careful, ride safe, and remember, recycle. Don't be wasteful.